Culture Casino. 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 Oh. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Oh. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Hey guys, can you hear me? Happy Saturday. Radio Drago. Core member. How's it going, buddy? Hope it's going well. Donovan Bradford, what's up? Haywood, Joblamy. How are you doing, buddy? Mephisto's Movie Reviews. Mark Nichols, happy Saturday to you. Good morning, Hampton. Ooh, my daughter's at a volleyball game. Awesome. That's always fun. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday Show. That's right. We got Donovan Bradford getting over a cold. Jillian H., the very lovely one herself, freshly married. It's great to see you, dear. If you sent me an email, I did not see it. I wonder if it went through spam. But I'll double check. And if you didn't, this is a reminder. If you really want to do that show, I do. I want to do that show. Weatherman's out there. We got Megatron. We've got Mephisto. I think I said hi to Popsicle. Everybody else out there, I think I highlighted as you came through. We've got Juliet checking in from across the pond. I hope you are all doing extraordinarily well today. We got Doba Fett. Howdy. What's up, Doba Fett? There's Juliet. She's so kind to me. Young Gandalf. I feel like I'm 1,000. Davina's in the house. Look at all these amazing beings. We are so blessed with all of your brilliance. Or I'm blessed with all of your brilliance. Hopefully you can hear me. We've got George the Giant Slayer. My wonderful, wonderful friend. Holy cow, George. I love you, brother. Long time lurker. My man, you were great. You're great. I love you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I really, really do. I haven't talked to you in a minute. Maybe get a phone call. We got our good friend Brogu out there. Hello, everybody. I'm a little hot. Ooh, that's what she said. Hello. Houston, hello. Are we better? I hope so. Greg C's in the house. What's going on, Greg C? Greg C. Hopefully, I turned it down about 10%. Hopefully that puts the mic at the right level. Level. I'm wild this morning. But we do have a lot of news to get through. I'm only basically looking at the last 48 hours. So this is going to be as complete as you can get right now today. At least as far as what I think would concern anyone. We got Pope Baby 74. Good morning, Vietnam. There you go. That's what you were looking for. I just destroyed everybody's ears. Terry Rose. Good morning, Terry. Hope you're doing well, buddy. We got Snakes and Funerals. What's up? Snakes. All right. This is not a test. This is rock and roll. That's right. God, what a great film. Well, what a tragic loss. I keep thinking about that. All right, we got to get going. Lord Thoth, we got to get going. We got much to talk about. Much. Hey, except for the beautiful deep ball, Weatherman. All right, let's get going. We got stuff to get to. We got our buddy Rod Thunderhard, Banjax Junkion. Wow, Banjax the Junkion. Cool. Andrew, what's up? Andrew Wardna. I am so blessed with amazing humanity and vampires. What's up, Spaceship Vampire? All right, Joseph A., we are off and running. Tom F., good morning, my friend, with the great pictures. Woo-hoo. All right, seriously, we got to go. Let's get to the first story. The first story is, well, kind of important. It's a national situation because when the seventh largest economy on the globe has a problem, well, people show up. And, well, they had a wildfire in one of the most beautiful areas in the world that I have fond memories of that are mostly gone away. Not to mention the fact that San Diego seems to be having some issues now. And it's all because of, and believe it or not, Bill Burr, this is the truth, poor management of everything. The government of California is largely corrupt in that they do not perform the duties that they actually charge the citizens money for. That's dereliction of duty, and whoever's in charge of each and every one of those departments and situations, you should be held to account. And in fact, I think it shouldn't even require a recall. I think if you let something like this get so bad, you just have to be forced to resign at this point. I think Caruso would have been a much better choice for LA than Miss Bass, who's incredibly irresponsible and corrupt. And Gavin is just the personification of corruption, losing billions and billions of dollars from his budget. You are the chief executive of California, Gavin. I'm surprised you still have your job. I am not surprised you've had so many recalls, and there's another one coming your way. And when Jillian Michaels reveals the truth, and other people like that, with Justine Bateman and many others starting to really see the shortcomings of all of the single party rule in California, perhaps they'll realize, maybe we need to pick better. And ladies out there, sometimes you have to pick better also. But I want to say a thank you to Liberty Hall's Cat for the Culture Casino membership, and we'll move into what the story actually is. Now, coming out of Deadline, why did I pick a trade? Well, because they're fun to see if they can do real news, which almost always the answer is no. But Donald Trump did say that he's going to give you everything you want. And of course, the story is updated. Governor Goodhair really needs to get with his stylist because it looks a little rough in this image here. All in an effort to cover up that enormous bald spot on the top of his head. Let's see. So there were additional details coming out of yesterday after some contentious moments in which he blamed the state and federal officials over water and forest management. Yes. As contributors to the devastating Los Angeles wildfires, President Trump on Friday told a gathering of local LA elected officials that I'm going to give you everything you want. I really wish he would have included the statement, and we're going to make sure that this is done right. You need some good observers out there to guarantee that you are doing the right thing. Do the right thing, do the right thing. The problem is that we know this probably won't happen. I see Captain Fandom Nerd out there. I see the amazing Staccato DDS and Gollum, Hobo Rumblers. Happy Saturday. Yes, Gollum. Yes. Day magnifies over there. What's going on, Tom? We've got Boosh McFadden, my buddy. Soundwave Superior says, hello, CC. What's up? What's up? Thanks for joining us today live. We've got the lovely Jillian H. gifting 5 Culture Casino memberships. Thank you, Jillian. Much appreciated. Look at those names go. Great. Amazing. You're amazing. John Yulden from across the pond. He is a content creator worth paying attention to. And I'll be hanging out with him again soon, apparently, doing a little more ancient movie reviews, I think, is what we're doing over there. Swift -1, this is Matt G, and of course, Wes Trueblood saying good morning. It's good to keep everybody company, Wes, and I'm glad you are here. But let's get further into the story. He says, I'm going to give you more than any president ever would have given you. He did a 45-minute roundtable discussion in which he embarrassed the silliness of the leadership in that room and the fact that they were unprepared and everything that led to the 23,000 acre Palisades fire. Just Pacific Palisades alone, 6,800 homes gone. It killed 11 people. Of course, the fires are widespread and we're seeing a lot of arrests around those areas for some reason, but I don't think we're allowed to say, and I don't think that anybody wants to tell the truth about who was doing it and why. I'm sorry, there is no reason to carry around a blowtorch in that situation when you are nowhere near a job site or anything else. Not to mention the fact that, you were going for the kindling and were witness doing something. So that's a real problem. But anyway, he did show up on site, unlike other presidents that just kind of get around to things when they get there. This is one of the things he wanted to deal with in his first week, and he did. He also exposed the rampant mismanagement and misuse of FEMA, which means it may not and may no longer be an entity here within the next year. Hard to say. Not to mention the fact that the title disco seems to be going on in every federal office with name or job descriptions changed left and right because they don't want to be exposed as a DEI hire for DEI purposes. We need to get this kind of ideology well out of every federal service. And if that means getting rid of more and more people at the federal level, you only get rid of the ones that are DEI. That makes a lot of sense to me. I don't wish anybody to be jobless, but I do believe people should be qualified for those jobs. Regardless, the president's going to be there. And he was talking specifically to Karen Bass, and I found this part of the conversation very, very troubling. Bass said that she had issued her own executive order to cut through red tape and that people will be able to get back soon and then start clearing their sites. Now, the government of California is overregulated to the extent that basically they babysit every single thing that you do every day, which is not how government's supposed to operate. The people give the power to the government to create reasonable laws in order to keep certain things from happening to you and your neighborhoods. Well, they didn't prevent or do anything about this fire in advance, so they'd already fallen down. But Trump said, we think within a week, trying to set a timetable on the problem with California. And then he said, that's a long time, a week, to be honest. Everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work and they are not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to go in your own home. There's no chance of it catching on fire again. And again, when you walk on your own property, aren't you already taking a risk yourself? So Bass expressed concerns about safety. Safety of what? Safety from what? What kind of safety? Are we going to make it easier for people to just go through there at night and, search through other people's stuff, see what they want? This is one of the biggest problems that were happening in the rich neighborhoods. What did they do in the rich neighborhoods? They sent cops. Now, Pacific Palisades isn't a non-rich area. It's very well off. I mean, the average price of a home in that area, or what used to be, was about $4.3 or $3.4 million, somewhere in there, somewhere between $3 and $5 million. So if you think about it that way, not only are they losing a huge tax base, I mean, why are you going to pay property tax on something that's non-existent now? Because the land isn't worth that money. It's the appurtenances or the attachments to the lot. So when you start to look at that type of a thing, there's really no value in that land right now. And if you can't build on it expediently, there really isn't any value in that land. Not to mention the fact that if you even have the money to rebuild, there's no way you're going to get fire insurance because the state of California allowed insurance companies to run away from that responsibility. I can't blame the insurance companies at this point, knowing just how mismanaged all of it was. Yes, Bill Burr, mismanaged. See, I pay attention to the news, Bill Burr. You don't, you giant douche. Anyway, Trump responded, they're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time. The way I look at it, I watch hundreds of people standing out in front of their lot, and they are not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. It's not going to burn anyone anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in there. I think that's an excellent point. Regardless, it just points at the fact that you are overly restricted in the state of California. And, he kind of snapped back at some of the other local officials and local people from EMA, the emergency federal emergency management agency, FEMA, and said, look, if you can put your genius of yours to work on getting a permit, you'll be doing much better than some of the other things you said. Yeah. And that's the biggest problem, is that permitting in the state of California is the most restrictive and offensive you could possibly do. And there are multiple layers of permits you have to get just to build. Ask anybody who lives there now, like the people who've talked about it. I'm very, very angry. And I do not want to see more. And this is something I'm going to actually try to figure out how to get to Trump's administration. But the large corporate purchases in REITs, real estate investment trusts, and similar are monopolistic practices when you go after an entire neighborhood, like, Blackstone tries to do. As a matter of fact, I think that any long-term purchase holding of that type has to have a limit placed on it, or else it's a monopolistic practice, trying to push people out of their neighborhoods, trying to drive people into a rental situation rather than an ownership. Generational wealth is hard enough to pass along than to destroy the opportunity at something they're not making more of, which is land. Regardless, this is the news that came out yesterday. I'm grateful that Trump visited. I'm glad that he made his way out of there. And I hope that the only time he returns to California is to have a positive meeting with, people who are actually qualified to do the jobs that they're placed in. I will say this: if you did not see this as a resume for Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass or any of the other morons that got elected to put you into the situation, California, you really should look at that as being a job resume and understand they were a failure at every point. And there's that. Let's get back to your commentary and out of my pontification, which I'm sure you did not appreciate. This is going to be a ranty day, folks. It's going to be. We got great folks out in the chat. I want to say thanks again to Jillian. We're going to drop a thank you here in right about now, like right now.
Your kindness knows no bounds. Except for whatever $sign you chose to stop at.
That's true, except it was 5. That's a lot. So thank you for spending so much, Jillian. I truly appreciate it. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad all of you are here. Razorbird, what's up? Rivet Heads in the house. Who else we got? We got the Sundowners Club. What a great dude. Love this guy. It's a good man. Let's see. Troche. Yeah, Trump is a get stuff done guy. Yep, something we sorely need. Still at the top. Didn't vote for him twice. He's getting it done exactly why I voted for him this time. Well done. Yeah, look, more information always updates your opinion, doesn't it? So at least it should. You should let anything in and then evaluate it and decide if it changes your mind. If somebody changed your mind going for the third time, congratulations. Mark Nichols says the right thing. Go Larry Elder. That would have been a better choice. Scott Cook is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. The Snakes is like rant away. That's right. That's right. Tom F says, I'm still trying to wake up. Need more caffeine. Or I'll just yell at you some more. How about that, Tom? Greetings and hello, says Rogue. What's up, buddy? Popsicle says, no, Culture, my wife and I appreciate your pontification. Mrs. Popsicle says, right on. Well, thank you, Popsicle. We've got our good friend, Carl Singh, in the house. I think it's about time we are accountability. We see accountability in our government. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And Jill reminds you, if you're here for the first time or the 1,000th, to make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the like button right now. It'll send YouTube a message. We'll grow our audience. We'll get faster to the 100K goal. I'm counting on you to help. Help me help you. If you like my stuff, help me help you. More movie references coming, I'm sure. Let's see. Who else is in the chat? We got the lady herself, Apollome's Minion. Greetings, dear. I hope you're doing well. A Bobo Yogi. Christy Gnome getting a big W today, too. Good. Did you see Hegseth? You know what? We'll talk about Hegseth towards the end of the segments today. That'll be fun. We got executive producer Sol Leibowitz. What's up, my friend? Be Mo Betta. Gonna be Mo Betta over on the Green Machine. La Machine. You remember those commercials? I do. I'm old, though. I'm old as dirt. Probably never heard of that. Got Adam Price out there. I love what Melania is traveling with him. Oh, yeah. And she looks like she wants to go savage on people, man. I love her. She is a good time. We got our good Fred, Staccato DDS, for 10 Culture Casino cash and says it was brought up during the meeting that there needed to be oversight of any funds given to California. Trump agreed. I agree. Holy cow, what a waste of what they know how to waste money better than any other state in the union. I swear. Oh, by the way, I have looked into what Tim Pool was talking about with West Virginia, and I completely understand where he's coming from. In fact, we need to get state government out of our ear holes. Gonna have to get that done soon. Man Squatch, what's up, my friend? The lovely Tina Guzman is out there. I think I saw something from Will. There it is. Will is a member for 5 months at the High Rollers level. He says, Gray Davis was recalled for far less, indeed, and yet somehow y'all vote, or I should say California vote. I don't know if you're living there, West, so I'm not going to throw you into that lot. But they reelected him after that, even. And you ended up with Arnold, which was at least marginally better. Could we see a much bigger swing this time? I think you're going to see, as some areas were already going purple, I think you're going to start to see a lot more purple in the next California election. Let's just put it there. At least I hope so. I'd like to think all of my California brethren have it. I double subbed to Culture. That's right. Weatherman's on the Green Machine. Rumbling away. Ron is right. Hegseth is in. That's right. We got JB Spook Review. There's only one way to hold government accountable, but it can't be said online. Well, that's true. I mean, that's another way. Elections are supposed to be the way to hold them accountable, but how do you know just how corrupt they are? Deeple asks, what's the Tim Pool story? He's leaving West Virginia because he never wishes he wishes he never moved to that state and pulled all the other people with him. I don't blame him. The state has some real problems, and they're headed down the same California highway, despite the fact that, none of those laws make sense in that state, including the independent contractor idea that was part of the gig economy that California decided was bad and destroyed more labor. What a bunch of idiots. Hey, Wonder Girl is here. I'm here for the ride. Let's friggin' go. That's right. Now Newscomb can build this governor's palace in the Palisades. No. In fact, I think that's part of what should be part of the federal oversight is that you can only rebuild the houses within the given plots. You've got to return that beautiful area to a beautiful area. You know what I mean? The Sundowners Club is in the house saying, I've met Pete Hegseth a few times. Yep. Yeah, he is not he is a substantial person. He is not an insubstantial person for many different reasons. So there's that. And I think it was floated, and I'm not sure if it was true. So this is grain of salt. This is beach of salt. This is ocean of salt kind of time. But I thought something that was floated was that the only way California can get everything is with a few conditions, and one of those is a voter ID, a voter ID mandate going forward. At least that makes sense to me. It was probably BS, but makes sense to me. And then it would designate that you can only have citizens of the United States to vote. There shouldn't be anybody else voting, and anybody that does that is basically cheating. You know what I mean? Let's see. Lost for words for £2 sterling. Proper money, ladies and gentlemen. Says, hey, Culture, morning, afternoon, greetings to chat. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Let's see if we can kick on. Can we kick on? Rod's been around for a long, long time. 26 months. See-Through Love is out there. You can check it out. You can plug away. It's a Spanish teacher who can become invisible, is shocked to discover that a gym teacher is blind but can see her. Find it at Friesen Press. Do check that out. It is an excellent book, according to all the reviews that I have heard. All right. Yeah, voter ID is a must. I don't believe you should be able to vote without a issued citizen ID. And as much as I hate what that would imply, you have to be able to prove you're a U.S. citizen. You should have to. Yep. Oh, by the way, I heard something about birthright citizenship we may come to at the end of the show, but we need to move on because there's more to this story, because we have a lot of people that are dumb that occasionally say things that you might be interested in, but that kind of just makes them, a slot machine. A slot machine of ideas, a slot machine of morality. They only eventually do they pay off, or are they right? The number one candidate for this, as far as I'm concerned, is this guy, Bill Maher. He swipes at President Trump's LA visit, say, just do your dance and get out of here. What a scumbag. Well, his dance was to ensure that you're going to get more than any other president as far as the real rebuilding of the Palisades area. Bill Maher, you tool bag. I have to tell you, he says some things that I agree with. Most of the time, not so much. This guy is dude. If you were going to have in like a dictionary, like we used to have illustrated images in some dictionaries, but if you wanted to put a picture of this guy, mega douche would be what his category would be. It would be him and maybe a few other people's, but mega douche is probably accurate. Anyway, so he met with the state and local blah, blah, blah. Bill Maher on Friday took aim at the president's threats to withhold federal funds and how he shouldn't trust Californians like they're visiting. Shouldn't treat Californians like they're visiting a casino and you are comping our room. Well, he kind of is. The position you're in as far as this disaster is all of your own making. You hired some very poor CEOs and board of directors for your state through an election process, and this is the result. You put yourself here. You could have observed that there's no water in the various areas there needs to be. It hadn't been for a while, especially the Ives Reservoir. Lots of issues, right? And all of that can be proven photographically and everything else. This guy, again, says, first of all, you're not giving us anything. We're Americans. Well, now you sound more like a libertarian. Normally, you sound like a serious crazy leftist. Anyway, he said, let's see. He's obsessed with the small fish called the smelt. Now, there is a story about this, and it's too complicated. So he calls the president out for an accurate bit of information, but it's too complicated to go into. Douche. Okay. It's like if you are going to argue based on the facts, that's a fact. That's a fact. It's insane. Saying how Trump is only 13% contained. Maher made a crack about the president taking one look at the pink flame retardant that was used on the wildfires by saying, I had no idea that this place was that gay. That's a funny line. Okay. And guess what? Trump's more humorous than you are, Maher. Maher then jabbed at Trump's first week in office and how he hit the ground running by signing multiple executive orders, memos, and proclamations. Every president does that, you moron. And one of the most important things he did was undo all of the garbage that created the situation that this country just went through. I'm sorry. So he says, I'm sure it's just coincident, but before the inauguration, Trump increased his wealth by 89% in a day to $58 billion. He's now one of the the richest 25 people in the world with meme coins. Yeah, but that thing just tanked. See, this is the problem with this guy. He doesn't understand the world he lives in. And then he seemed to say something positive about the garbage time film that is now in the Oscars. Have you seen this one? It's the Spanish language musical that celebrates a Mexican drug lord who becomes a better person by having a sex change operation. This guy's a tool. And these people supporting him. Yeah. Anyway, like you said, I think he's a tool. Let's see what you guys have to say. I'm super happy today. Can you tell? Anyway. All right. Let's see. We got Elizabeth Young for 10. Culture Casino. Clam saying, so, as of Friday last week, I'm a card-carrying registered independent. Good for you. Got my new voter ID card Wednesday. I have one of those. And Mar can kiss my fat rump. What a tool. See, Elizabeth knows what time it is. And not the garden shed kind. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the 10 and the wise commentary. Hey, we got Tina out there saying Mar talks out of both sides of his face. Well, mouth, you say, but I say face. He's annoying. He's two-faced. 11 Alpha in the house. Ron thinks that everybody's going to love Klaus at the end of the year in California and they will eat the bugs. I don't know about that. I hope not. Rob Alta says the smelt may be a small fish, but a big issue because it's being used as an excuse. It's not. Yeah, that's actually true, Rob. You're 100% right. And for my friends that live in California, I bear you no ill will. I know sometimes you're surrounded by people that are so ideologically driven that, you know, they push that thing front and center to the point where it ends up in the way of everybody else. And that's kind of what's been happening in the state of California for the better part of 30 years. So, let's see. It helps when he gets $15 million from suing CNN or whoever. Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of money on the table. Man, I've been seeing a lot of stories. I've seen a ton of stories where there's things going around about Whoopi. I'm going to look into that, I promise, because I think a lot of it's bologna sausage. But Dr. Megatron says, I had a J moment. I often have J moments. Mostly it's because I'm reading comments. Sometimes it's because I go into, Culture EXE is not running right now. You want to skip or reboot? Donovan says, I'm a registered Dem, even though went pretty moderate in this election. Yeah. Look. There are certain things that both parties do. There are certain actions and bills that I don't agree with. I think that the government needs to largely be out of our lives. If we have more than a few hundred laws, we've got a problem. If we have more than 100 agencies, we've got a problem. Why are we employing all of these people? I don't know. Deeple says, I didn't realize changing your sex makes you a better person. Well, that was a quote. So attributable to Mar. So there's that. Tina Guzman says, Latino Slant said it isn't a good film. It is not a good film. Amelia Perez, it's garbage. The musical elements are garbage. Everything about that film is a garbage. Garbage. And here's the thing, right? That film got a lot of recognition and so did Wicked. I'm going to tell you right now, no reason Wicked should be that many nominations. It just tells you where the world is at. And it tells you what we can expect from the Oscars is targeted garbage now. Because in order to qualify for all of the best categories, you have to be comprised of all the check boxes that are required by the Academy. I guess both words are correct. Not just comprised, but compromised. both are applicable. Boosh McFadden says, Culture Casino, usually it's a rival cartel that removes their huevos. That's true. That's true. Now, of course, they let them bleed out. Hollywood will burn, says Bill Maher is trash. His religious movie has been debunked and turned me away from him in my late teens. Wow. Good to know. Crazy stuff. Well, like they say, garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, well, California's got a huge problem. It's not just ideological. Weatherman says, I like frosty culture sometimes. Well, I'm a blizzard right now. Let me tell you, weather's cold. Hey, our best friend and best polar bear friend. It's Snortopoopas Q Burr. Fresh no. Mar will trash the woke for self-preservation, but he's forever a lefty hack. True story. True story. There's our buddy Morgan King. I'm going to try to figure out the Discord thing today, my friend. Thank you for sending me the reminder. Boosh McFadden says, Culture Casino, usually it's a rival. Oh, I got that one. I must have skipped back. Furry kids in the house. I have some good updates on some friends in California, so I want to say I'm grateful for the updates, and I am so glad things are better. I'm in California now. This place has gone to shit and crap. I just said a bad word on my channel. Mexican Iron Man made me do it. I'm trying to do better, folks. It's just in the mornings. You know, I'd really try not to curse. Hey, there's our good friend, Keely Chow, Roll Tide, my friend, saying, let's roast a Doomicorn and a War Eagle for Mexican Iron Man. There you go. Not all of California is crap, but the metropolitan areas are. Well, so one of my favorite locations to visit, and well, way back when I could still move, was to check out the area around Venice Beach. Venice Beach is amazing. Not anymore. It's a homeless camp. Our friend Mexican Iron Man for 5 Culture Casino Clams says Californians are treated better by their government. Meant the high rollers on this channel for sure. Not true, Mikey. I better see you today when I run the high roller stream. You better be there. CNN did this to themselves. Oh, yeah. And PMSNBC for sure. For sure. You definitely need mental hospitals in California. The problem is you're going to have to put government officials in there. So there's that. Hey, Angela Richter is here with her favorite tiger. Mine too, by the way. And 1 Culture Casino membership. Thank you very much. The Hills have Mallory. Oh, or Hillis Mallory sent me a member chat. I'm going to try to scroll down to that. There's the regular chat. Oh, the Oscars has come out with Namis. Huh. I wonder if there is something I recognize in there. Dune 2 for no reason at all. Probably some of the worst performances. Outside of cinematography, what a crap ending. Just a garbage tier film. California and LA government is a mix of too much meddling with no action for what is needed. That's true. Right now, okay, here's some other news. Maybe you haven't heard of this, Rob, but you know what's happening is that the fire stations around the Los Angeles area and in other places in California have massive mold issues that cause physical problems for the firefighters. I kid you not. They cut the fire spending, the fire budget, and they literally have health hazards that they're putting their firefighters in. That's how much they support their firefighters, folks. There's a lot of coverage on that now. I am not kidding. Anyway, the Hills have eyes. I mean, Hillis Mallory, 23 months says, a member chat thingy. What should I say? Thank you, Hills. All right. You guys are on fire. Oh no, Greg C, you are not wrong. I mean, again, the seventh largest economy in the U.S., in the globe. I think actually that number's down a little bit, and it's probably going to continue to go downward. But that's true. I don't think it's the sixth. I mean, we'll have to see. The last couple of years has been so anti-business; they're losing business. We're going to have to keep track of that. I think Texas is going to go up substantially over the next few years. Yeah. So. Let's see. We've got Radio Drago for £10 sterling. Proper money. £10 sterling. Says, hi guys in chat. I'm seriously thinking about moving to the U.S. and moving in with my girlfriend's family as she is a U.S. citizen. Awesome. Boy, get away from what's going on in Great Britain. Man, Keir Starmer in the party that's in charge, I don't think, can you live with 4 or whatever it is years more of that? Is it 4 or 5 more years of that? 6 total years? I don't know what it is. I know you have a way different system than we do. But man, I can't imagine him and his party being in power that long. They are dreadful. And they're the whole reason. You guys are actually going after your own citizenry right now. I'm keeping track of the UK news equal to what I'm paying attention to US news now, which is insanity. And this Starmer guy is corrupt from the ground up. He's also a WEF sycophant. So anybody that has WEF next to their name needs very, very tight scrutiny. So there's that. Anybody who has a young leader thing attached to them is well, I mean, if you think about what that is, just consider that a future brown shirt adherent to the WEF and their 2030 bologna sausage. We've got to get rid of that stuff. Anyway, so as Wales and the UK in general is getting crazier week by week, I'm still torn. My friend, if you have the will, the means, the opportunity, and the drive, life is a great adventure, and you will always regret the things you don't do or don't try. Trying to live a life without regrets means doing things. And it's often said that the people who move for opportunity are more successful than the people who do not. So that's a lot of t-shirts right there I just talked about. Anyway, but do what you think is best. I'm just worried for your country, my friend. And like you said, it seems like you're rather powerless to even select your leaders over there. And Canada's struggled the same thing. I'm not sure that form of government is ideal, but it is what it is. I agree with you, Hillis. The day of worrying about the bologna sausage pumped by the WEF is long past us. And thank you for the £10 sterling, my friends. All right, we're going to keep moving on with stories. You guys are great out there. It's good to see you. We got Poopa Chalupa joining us. Olaf, of course. Man, Cynthia's out there. Great to see you. Staccato, my good friend, for 5 Culture Clams says 50 million to defend illegal aliens could have gone to fire departments. I think it should have gone to fire departments, and that should have been something Trump pointed out there. I also think that government officials who put those plans in order, if they execute on them, should be arrested and prosecuted as felons because they are committing a felony. They are aiding and abetting a felony. I think that there's going to be a lot more felons in the next few years for dumb stuff like this. I commented today, there's a governor in Arizona named Katie Hobbs, I think, as was pointed out to me by Connor Williams, that Razorfist has done a bunch of rants on her, and she literally is beholden to the cartels, but she's trying to resist the federal action. You know what happens when you break against federal action? You are, convicted of a federal crime. Wouldn't it be funny to watch Katie Hobbs get some felonies? I think so. It's 4 years. Man, I'm so sorry, Radio Drago. 4 more years of Herr Stottermer. Yeah. Jared says Shad is Australian. Yes, he is. He's not a Kiwi. but that's a fun joke. John the Beagle Dad, what's up? Culture Casino, how is everyone? I'm great. I'm just a little ranty today. Little ranty. Let's do this. We're going to get into the next story. If we don't, we're going to get bogged, and I don't have time because we have Salty Nerd podcast coming up in an hour and 15 minutes. So let's get to it. Our third story. Let's talk a little CNN. I've been talking about them a little bit, dropped a couple videos on them, but it's getting worse and worse over there. CNN's literally imploding. They really are going to try to get rid of Jim Acosta. Acosta's pure poison over there, and he makes them look bad regularly. And not only that, incredibly partisan. But they're definitely changing their lineups. Again, if they put you in a bad time slot, it means they don't want to pay out your contract. That's why they're putting Jim Costa at midnight. Nobody's going to watch at midnight. Nobody watches now. If you average under 400,000 viewers throughout the day, you are not a news network anymore, or at least you're not an important one or a valuable one. Them losing as much money as they had over the course of the advertising wars at a time when they should have been making more and more means that the audience left because you're no longer reliable. Everybody knows you're dishonest, and everybody knows you're just a partisan hack. They also know that you are beholden to the drug companies. And the minute RFK successfully pulls advertisement, for pharmaceuticals, over-the-counter stuff that can only be prescribed by a doctor, guess what? Ball game. So CNN's shaking up its schedule. They're moving their audience around. They've had significant declines in audience under a series of changes that were unveiled Thursday. Audie Cornish, the former NPR host, will take over 6 a.m. Audie Cornish is probably one of the most compromised journalists you could find. CNN this morning, while Rachel Solomon will lead a new 5 a.m. concept called Five Things, Jake Tapper's late day program will move to a 2-hour slot between 5 and 7, setting up audiences for the primetime lineup. And Casey Hunt will move from mornings to a 4 p.m. program called The Arena. So it's literally musical chairs over there. And for good reason. They got to stir something up. I mean, a lot of what's happening at CBS News right now is an effort to remind you of a good quality local broadcast. So that's why Nora O'Donnell is gone at that time. She's going to do some other stuff over there, but that particular show is gone. They're going to replace it with a multi-person panel, more like a local news program and with weather. So it's basically designed to look and feel more like something that is collapsing around the country. I don't know why CBS would be experimenting with that format, considering that local news is collapsing like crazy, just not as fast as the national stuff. So maybe they want a slower collapse at CBS News. Don't know. And watching ABC double dip into The View, which I did a video on, adding a weekend view to the lineup, that's an absolute disaster as well. So basically all of news is collapsing. And believe it or not, The View is considered a news program. It's under the news banner. So ABC thinks that the opinions of some crazy people that they're constantly having to read legal notes, they think that's a good plan. Oh, by the way, the FCC is about to fist love everybody that has a license who has ever lied, misrepresented the truth, and or displayed any kind of partisanship that they can document and present. And it's possible the federal airwaves licensees could disappear from some of these networks. So it's real penalties. And that's being held over CBS's head right now, by the way, because CBS is owned by who? Paramount. And Paramount's trying to do what? Merge. Yeah. A little bit different attitude. So what was revealed during the critical stages of a trial where CNN was being sued for defamation, a military contractor named Zachary Young sued successfully CNN for defamation, got a guilty verdict, and after they proceeded through phase one, which was the verdict and the compensatory damages, they moved on to punitive. And while punitive was being discussed and addressed during the course of the second phase of that trial, which would have been hundreds of millions of dollars, CNN settled. And this is where we found out that the viewership is down considerably. And right now they're down 13% year over year. They fell 18% across the board as far as advertising revenues in 3 years through the end of 2023 to only around $489 million. You cannot run a national or an international company on that kind of money. It's very hard. So it's kind of a paperweight or not even a paperweight, an anchor tied around Warner Brothers Discovery's ankles, which is why they're doing these moves. Anyway, so that's pretty much it as far as CNN goes. They are shifting the deck chairs on the Titanic, listening to, the symphony play one last time. The symphony orchestra. That's the right word. Difficulty. I'm having a J moment. Anyway, let's move over to your comments on the collapse of fake news. And again, the quote unquote 17,000 doctors that are against RFK has been found to be fabricated as fake news. Jillian Michaels actually reported on that this morning. You can check that out on X. Adam Price's NPR's decent hipster music. True. That's the only thing it's got going. Yes. I've heard rumors that Melania sued The View for defaming her. $80 million for Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi! We've got Olaf with €6. I don't even know what those are anymore. I don't. Saying, I can't, let's see. I can tell I don't watch MSN and only YouTube. All people that do fear for Trump and Musk, indoctrination by the left, dominated global media, and are angry with me. Well, I'm sorry about that, Olaf. I'm not angry with you. Yeah. I am not going to sing Alex Jones's hit song, I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. Oh, that was so brilliant. Man, I've been every once in a while I've been catching some of these chat music videos on YouTube. I'm laughing my face off. Hey, it's the lovely Catzilla. It's so good to see you, dear. I hope I see you in Vegas this year. You better be there. I'm going to be in Orlando. I will be out and about in public on the 5th of February. And I will be leaving Sunday the 9th, which is Super Bowl Sunday. So if you want to catch me, that's a good place to catch me. But here for 20 Culture Casino cash. Thank you, dear. She says, lived in Venice in the early 1980s. So amazing, right? It was a circus. That's true. Even back then. Or maybe it was a crisis even back then. Had a hobo living in my garage storage locker. He was cooking in there with sterno. Ooh, yikes. The beach bums back then, from my personal recollection, were a little different. I'm talking more about the San Diego area, right? Actually, PB, Pacific Beach area, specifically, my old haunts. They were a little different back then. They were just, scuzzy people that were just content living outside. And I'm telling you, San Diego most of the time. Yeah, but man, it changed. Really, really changed. I didn't see a lot of tents back then. They would just occupy spaces like storage units and stuff. All right. Let's get back to it. But thank you, dear. And I agree. A little bit. It wasn't always, but it was a little scuzzy. I mean, it was all the way. It was a little scuzzy back when Jim Morrison was alive, early in his life, before he joined the Doors. It was at film school. He looked like a beach bum then. So that's why I look like I look. I largely influenced by Jim Morrison, probably. One of my favorite musicians. Back when I was entertaining people way back, it's a long time ago, as one of the artists that I tried to emulate. So not so much on the recreational pharmaceutical side, but that was not my jam. But yeah. Wow, that's a little piece of information I bet none of you knew. Mexican Iron Man says, I'm in Anaheim with my family. I'm out of town and announced to you I would be. So, of course, he does this when I'm traveling. Sad. I'm sorry, Mikey. I tell you what, Mike, you schedule the next Saturday. I tell you what, for all the other people out there, because Mike can't attend, okay, all you high rollers, we're going to do it next Saturday. Mike's going to pick the time that we do it. Mike's going to make the announcement about it. We're going to do that. Yep, we're going to do that. Trying to catch up with y'all. Hillis Mallory, the Hillis have eyes for 5 Culture Casino clams. Says Tom McDonald and Roseanne Barr. Oh, I love that. Man, I wish I could react to stuff like that. I'm just hesitant. Like, that's why I'm starting another channel, a reaction channel. Grant and I are going to work together again on getting that thing up and running. I already have one recorded. I've kind of given people a preview of it. It is funny. I'm just going to keep searching for more. The video's called Daddy's Home. Yeah, I saw it. Very catchy tune. And I think it's funny. Roseanne's just leaning into her age and everything else. I love it. Cosmin, Cristani, good to see you, my friend. We got Carlos Alfredo Lopez out there. Frank is here. When you're retired, every day is a Saturday. There you go. Mark Dolly, yes, my friend, I miss the 80s too. It seems like a lot of us are in that block, and our younger folks are paying more attention to the 70s and 80s now. Good for you. You'll learn a lot. You'll realize that I've seen this cycle before, and we went from Jimmy Carter to Ronald Reagan, and boy, did the world improve, and much less fearful at a time when we were in the midst of the Cold War and everything else. We just outlasted them and outspent them, and we out-partied them. Believe it or not, it's hard to party better than Russians. And obviously the people in Ukraine who are also Russians. And when the wall came down and everything else, pretty wild stuff. You know, one of the biggest economic engines in the world was Germany. In recent times, a decade ago. Right, they were an enormous economic engine. And the minute they let the neo-Marxist in to rule for a while, and they started to use the extreme right and the alt-right and stuff like that, though, that kind of language, the minute that comes in, that's a form of deridement or just calling names to try to alienate them from general society. The minute you start to hear terms like that, which is why I fire back with the alt-left, the extremists, et cetera, et cetera. But legitimately, when the neo-Marxists came in with their extremist positions and their extreme climate positions and everything else, Germany went straight to hell. They've had 2 straight years of like negative growth. You cannot make things without energy. And the green bologna sausage isn't even possible. You don't have the resources, the minerals. We don't have the ability to produce enough to get the infrastructure in place to meet any of the WEF's bologna sausage, which they know. Everybody knows it, and nobody. And look, I'm telling you right now, you can make all the rules you want, but if you're not signed into the Paris climate bologna sausage garbage that we just got out of, nobody's going to hold you to that. Look at China. China's one of the adherents, but they don't adhere to it at all. They produce the most pollution possible every single year. We probably even underestimate what it is. Anyway, boy, I'm ranty today. I'm very sorry, folks. We need to move on, of course. Barron is a very impressive young man, indeed. Yep. And globalists did F Germany's economy. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The minute you take away the abilities to produce, you destroy. That's why communists, socialists, all of the baddists, feminists want to seize the means of production, because once they do that, everything goes to hell. It's happened every single time. Well, it's just not done right. No, they're doing it right. The idea is to remove hope, your ability to fend for yourself, produce for yourself, everything else works perfectly. You are then enslaved to the government, just like a digital currency would be, which is why one of the executive orders that President Trump signed is we would not have any more participation in that idea. right? We're going to do cryptocurrency, but we are not going to allow for this kind of global currency. In fact, what I would like him to do is reinforce that every single institution and location has to accept cash and transact in cash. The minute you go fully digital, you can be fully shut down. I don't care what Bank of America says. They were already guilty of debanking people for ideological reasons. So there's that. Anyway, it's easy for me to rant, guys. There are a lot of things that get me a little bit twisted. I just don't usually express them. Most men don't really express their emotions. It's very, very stoic. But anyway, we've got to move on. We got a great story to cover out of the gaming industry. In fact, 2 in a row, to be fair, both written by my favorite outlets. One that I actually write for and another one. Wait a minute. Olaf says, culture, even if European countries' dominant governor is majority right, it gets overruled by the left Europe, forcing total left globalist control. No, I think it's pretty easy to eliminate this. I can't say on my channel what the means with which you could make this happen, because it might sound very threatening. But I'm going to tell you, there's a pretty easy solution to it. This is a brilliant statement from Lucifer Morningstar. By the way, I like that television program on Fox and Netflix when they continued it. But it did get a little hokey at the end. But anyway, Lucifer, not you, Lucifer, a Morningstar, but saying private property is the cornerstone of free and prosperous people. It's why commies hate it. Indeed. Yeah, and that's the other problem in California, right? Look, they have all that land there, and Gavin's wet dream is a 15-minute city in Los Angeles. You don't think that he'd want to do that? Of course he would. That guy's pure evil. He looks like the Joker. He doesn't need any makeup. And I'm telling you right now, you get a drone over the top of that dude. There's a bald spot up there. You could put a good size Malibu pool in. Anyway, getting to the next story, we've got a gaming story. CI Games CEO says RIP DEI. That's right, because he's been polling the people on X, right? He's been polling the people on X over there, and the fans overwhelmingly vote to end identity politics in gaming across the board. It is the exact polar opposite of what you need in gaming. Gaming needs to be an escape. You do not need to be reminded of the modernity of the neo-Marxists, right? So how do you get away from that? You go to a game, except when you put that garbage in games. Do you know what games failed this year? Anything that Sweet Baby Inc. touched. Anything that any narrative developer, baloney sausage pushing garbage, garbage ideology, anything that did that just failed. And, Marvin wrote a good story here. Oh, by the way, you're going to see my stories written under C Campione here pretty soon. So, yeah, just in case, because there has to be a real name attached to stories now. So there's that. Marek Tyminski, the CEO of CI Games, is once again waded right in and did a good job. Grums replies to what's going on with the response here. There is just so much momentum and speed behind Trump's delete DEI orders. Every company in every sector is responding. Games will fold too, except of the weird European holdouts and the clueless Japanese companies 2 years late to trends. Yeah. That's very true. There is just so much momentum, he said, of course. And Tyminski quote tweeted Kern's statement. That would be Grums. Grums is Mark Kern. Anyway, so Tyminski says, at CI Games, we stand for equality of opportunity. Hire the best person for the job. Talent is greater than buzzwords. Real diversity and inclusion always. RIP to DEI. It's done. That's it. The statement's out there coming from a studio head. And you're seeing that across Saber Entertainment. You're seeing it across the industry. It's going to continue. I have a feeling that we're going to see the complete collapse of identitarianism, not only in games, but also in television and in film. And I think the Oscars are going to be, the Academy is going to be the last to the parade. But by then, they will be so irrelevant that maybe nobody's watching the 100th Academy Awards, which is fast approaching, just a few years away. So there's that. So I don't think anybody can argue with this. I mean, as Marvin says, it's a bold statement to make. A stark contrast to AAA titles that are in the works and about to be released. I have a feeling, and we're going to talk about this in just a moment, that Ubisoft will basically be pieced out. Parceled out, I should say, rather than pieced out. Not pieced out. Parceled out to others in a vain attempt to try to salvage itself. I don't think that's going to happen. But the fact that these are going to collapse is no surprise to me. Of course, gaming's been particularly affected with DEI. Most major studios openly embracing DEI as a cornerstone of their development process. There was recently a story published that 32% of game developers are now women or non-binary, in an industry where largely that's never been done before. The question being, did it add to the quality of games? Did it add to the process? Or did it just add bodies to these studios and fill it up with people who didn't have the merit? You cannot be hiring for these reasons. The previous poll that Eric Tominski did was the 3 different types of RPG experiences that you would like as far as the representation between the character types. Body A, body B type, male or female, or none of the above. You know what got the most answers there? 88%. 88% of humans want reality. I'm surprised it's not higher. I mean, none of the above technically is 3.4%. So literally the body type A, B was basically just the activists on X. That's it. Nobody in their right mind wants that. 50,000 votes, by the way. And we covered this story, I think, a few times over on That Gameplay, so we'll probably cover it some more. If you're not subscribed to my gaming channel, That Gameplay should be listed down below. If not, it's That Gameplays on YouTube. Anyway, regardless, let's take a look at what you think about DEI and garbage in gaming. What do you think about that? Let's see. Oh, we got another message from Cerulean Spectre, a Canadian 5. Culture Clam says, have you heard that they're trying to reframe DEI? How do we stop them? Just observe. I mean, in ATF, they actually had somebody whose job was director of DEI, and she changed that. I think it's pretty easy to figure it out. Plus, if you participate in any of that behavior, I mean, it's pretty easy to call out. So how do you get rid of DEI? You tell everybody that's doing DEI, we know what you're doing. We know what you've done in the past. We're going to fine you for everything you did in the past, which was incredibly illegal. Not only that, if you try to elude this, we will fine you into oblivion. Oblivion? Sound like Jay. We'll fine you into oblivion. And then if you still refuse to do it, we'll come after you in every way possible. We cannot allow for this illegal stuff to happen, and that includes Bridge. Bridge is a reframing of the combination of the corporate garbage, the ESG, EGS, ESG, whatever you want to call it, and this DEI garbage. So, got to get rid of it all. And we have to get rid of it across the board. And we have to get rid of it not only from governmental agencies, but from private ones as well. And the first thing you do, you go after the biggest pockets. The biggest pockets in this case that are pushing this garbage is the guy that admitted to it, Larry Fink, over at BlackRock. So you go get him, you get the people at Vanguard, you get State Street, you go get Blackstone, you go get every single one of these evil bastards, and then you go after them with all kinds of other things, like the creation of monopoly. Blackstone actually practices monopolistic practices. There's the word. I'm trying to speak too quickly. But they're guilty of monopolistic practices by building the REITs the way they do in a given area, because they're dominating the housing market. That's another market. You are not allowed to do that. So now you start to dismantle these mechanisms that are there to oppress people and only grant wealth to the few, and that's how it works. It's how you go after everything. I'm going to tell you right now, Microsoft should have been broken up decades ago. I'm on one of Alphabet's properties right now here on YouTube, but they should have been broken up years ago. This never should have been allowed to become what it is. It created a monopoly in a way that is there is no competition. They buy their competition. It's illegal. It's been illegal for a long time, and under more liberal leadership, I guess they're fine with that. The consolidation of wealth under the few. You always accuse your opponent of what you're doing yourself. That's the neo-Marxist way. Anyway, thank you for this. But that's what you do to stop them. You make it so uncomfortable that every time you're fined, it's like, losing a kidney as a corporation. That's how you do it. You make somebody an example, like to the tune of like, hey, Alphabet, we're going to fine you $1 trillion. Just make it so disgustingly large that nobody will ever want to do it again. Nobody will want to even be accused of doing it again. And that's why I was really hoping that the settlement wasn't reached with Zachary Young and the CNN defamation loss for CNN. I was hoping they would get to the punitive stage and get through it and watch the number. Just watch the number. Make it so uncomfortable that nobody will ever want to do it again. That's how you stop it. Sorry, guys, I'm just scrolling. Yeah. Neo-Marxism, globalism destroys every industry. Look, all it is an authoritarian, global, world-leading garbage. And you cannot go for digital ID. I understand that some of you may have digital driver's licenses, but you cannot go for that solely being the representation of yourself. We have to eliminate Social Security is used for any form of ID, including for loans. Okay, you need to have a completely separate, individualized number that is like crypto, where it is unique and cannot be duplicated by anyone. Okay, that's what you need to do for identity, if you really want to track people. And then there's trying to get to all of this. But you can never allow a digital currency to rule your life, because then that's basically a social credit score. That's how you have to look at it. You do not want to be subjected to the whims of whoever is ruling over you. You have to be able to live with freedom and liberty. That's an immediate limitation of freedom and liberty, which is why cash must be king and still be accepted. Sorry. Yes, we probably need to. It's about time to reshape our currency again here in the United States, but it has to be tangible currency. You have to be able to have cash. You have to be able to transact in cash. It's a requirement. In fact, it says it's legal tender on the bills themselves. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Man, I've been pontificating a bunch. I had to make sure I didn't miss anything. I just saw a Rumble rant from Deeple for one. Culture Casino Cash says it is illegal. That's why people got to support Rumble. Also, remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and share the video. We are the media now. Such is life. C'est la vie. That's what he did it in French. So thank you for that. Lord Shack says we need an option for cell phones that isn't tied to the left. I think one of the things we need to do is now identify how insecure our phones are and who has access to all of our data. Privacy is something that we need to battle over next, to be fair. Randall Orser says healthcare is DEI'd, and that means we are going to die, especially in Canada. I mean, you guys have it worse. They're trying to encourage you to eliminate yourself, and they'll help. If you want to talk about morally bankrupt, it's the government in California. If I missed a super chat or anything, please let me go back and search. I don't want to miss anything. I think I got everybody. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Have fun. Have fun. Oh, wait, that was a long time ago. How did it end up there? BMO Beta, I would love an open source phone. Me too, and we've had them. They're just not cheap. I want an X phone. Me too. I really want him to do this because I feel like that would be an automatic win, and you could use Starlink as your cellular service. You'd have global service. It would cost you the same. Unlike all these cell phone plans that when you sign up for some international garbage whenever you travel abroad, like I do, sometimes I end up having to use Canadian garbage. That's incredibly expensive. International stuff outside of the United States is crazy. Elizabeth Young for $4.99. Thank you, dear. 5 Culture Casino Clam says, I've been looking into Fediverse. Too long to explain here, but please check it out. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to get us out of this stuff, but I'm also trying to get us out of bad games, which is why the second story today is going to be a gaming story, and it's going to be written by my buddy Spencer Bakuli. It's all about, that's right, Assassin's Creed, a game that opens up even later than it was originally. It was supposed to be opening on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, along with probably one of the worst Marvel films ever made, Captain America 4. We really want this Falcon guy to be Cap, but he's not. Movie. Or whatever. I think that's what it's titled. Anyway, so Assassin's Creed Shadows Associate Director says it's been very tricky adapting feudal Japan into video game form. Yeah, especially when you're putting in a black dude that had nothing to do with any of this and you're deifying him for some reason. I bet it's been really hard. Yeah. We want to avoid telling a culture about their own culture. So that's why we did something that definitely 100% didn't happen. We took a real person who was incredibly limited in their time in this area and pretended like he was Japanese. And then to market it, we used a one-sided burned Tory gate. And then we moved this from Valentine's Day to March 20th, a day of one of the worst terrorist attacks in our country. We have a studio in Osaka, but instead we bring in a bunch of intellectual numbskulls that fabricated a story around this man as to make him one of the central characters. All in the name of DEI. Japanese studios, if you aren't paying attention to the fact that they're destroying you culturally, you don't understand the meaning of DEI. That's the whole point. DEI is to destroy civilizations and society and break them down and remake them into serfs and masters. Sound good? Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you, if this were their intent, they failed across the board intentionally. Yeah, this associate director, Simon LeMay, I don't care what this guy's name is. Does that sound Japanese to you? Wouldn't you think that the persons that are going to be in charge of this game, don't you think they should have been Japanese if you want to adhere to DEI? Not some French-looking dude. This guy was a menu designer. You're letting a menu designer for Syndicate and general game designer for Odyssey direct this game. Man, I have never seen anything worse. Anyway, he apparently gave an interview to Game Radar's Kathleen Lewis. Catherine Lewis? What the heck? I think hopefully that's a mistype. Anyway, beginning with praise for how his team is really good at taking a place that has not been put in a game and then putting in game. What? So they're claiming that so we had to be very careful to handle it with care, to do our own research. Bologna sausage. None of this garbage would have been out there if they had. Due diligence, no. by the way, to handle it with care, do our research and due diligence. Those research and due diligence, same thing. To double check. He's saying the same thing 3 times over in this sentence, with Japanese experts on astounding amounts of details, and you got them all wrong, and you stole outright, and you used assets of others. If you don't think that Ubisoft's circling the drain, this is just pure trash. We want to avoid telling a culture their own culture. They did it at every step. All of these people that they're quoting all want to claim that this is going to be authentic and culturally accurate. We know that's all not true. From Spencer's point of view, though ostensibly a ploy to try and build some last-minute goodwill for the games ahead of its release, this, I don't know, French dude, Lame Comtois, I don't know, is likely to raise an eyebrow on the faces of many a player, given that it's been well documented that Shadow's team has been less than concerned about accurately portraying the Sengoku era of Japan. Well, we know that's true. From basing buildings on Chinese, which they did, including all the way down to the lanterns, rather than Japanese architectural designs, to attempting to pass off a replica Zoro's Sandai Kitetsu sword from One Piece as an authentic replica of traditional samurai katana, to arguing that Yasuke was an actual samurai. Despite the research that popularized this conclusion being highly suspect, Ubisoft has shown significant lack of care in their handling of their settings and aspirations. By the way, if there's one person that could comment on this, it is our friend Spencer. Anyway, looks like my camera's out of focus. Regardless, they're going to take this one in the shorts. This thing's going to release on PS5, Xbox, SX, Amazon Luna, Mac, and PC platforms on March 20th. And I think it's going to flop hard. The reason this game got moved so many times is to move it quarters away from all their failures. Ubisoft hasn't had anything successful in a while. X-Defiance gone. Skull and Bones failed tremendously against a budget of like $800 million. Pretty much all their releases in 2024 were failures and flops, all tied to this DEI bologna sausage. It's insanity. Yeah, Outlaws was a complete failure. Yeah, there's numerous failures this year. Lucius Nature Triste says, does anyone feel sorry that Fauci lost his free security detail? Well, that's outside of the norm. I don't think anybody does. I think a lot of people were wondering, why does a doctor need security? And why are we paying for it? Good question. You guys remember they stole that the Recreators flags, that Recreator clan's flag, put it in an art book. I love how they subtitled the trailer for the Japanese in Chinese. Oh, they're notoriously bad. Carlos says Ubi woke going full Ubi broke with this crap of a game. Yeah. I'm only going to purchase the standard version of this game to play it for you all and to review it. I will suffer, so you do not have to. Just like with movies and film. Oh boy, Sector 31. I hope we have time to get to that story. Good gravy, it's bad. Outlaws was awful. Yep. And Dan, you are correct. Dan C. Haveopinions.com. Not really. Price up, quality down. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a problem with the games industry. One of the other game commenters that I pay attention to said something. I'm not going to I'm not going to point him out because I'm not going to say something complimentary. And normally this is somebody I would compliment. But talking about why games are so expensive and everything else, and why the AAA industry is falling in on itself, et cetera, et cetera. Live service is obviously one of those problems, right? Game can be gone tomorrow. Look at X Defiant. Anything you spend money on, you should automatically have ownership of. I would say, right? So if you're spending money on something and then all of a sudden it's gone, well, then they should refund your money fully. That's what Concord did, much to their detriment. I don't know that anybody would argue with that. You spend that kind of money, you should get your money back, especially if the game was no good. But live service is a terrible idea, and I think the federal governments around the globe should start to attack that. I think that anything you spend money on was going to have to be preserved forever, especially if you buy things. And it's not a lease agreement. You're not leasing the skins that you buy. You're owned for you for use on your character. Therefore, your game is owned by you. I think that's probably the only way to go about it. But somebody in the chat's correct. I think it's Shanique. Bloat. Yeah, gaming studios are overbloated. They're overbloated to meet artificial quotas, all because of leftism. Let me make that more plain. Neo-Marxism. So everything that's practiced here at these studios with all of these different kinds of programs, DEI and all of that is, again, Marxism, neo-Marxism. So you get a bloat. You get too many people working on a game. If you think about it, there were only about 300 to 500 people maybe that worked on Skyrim. I mean, every time Bethesda released a new game, their team grew. It wasn't for any other reason than to supposedly expedite the production and the release time for a game. That's never what happens. I mean, look at Rockstar. You know, there's a lot of stuff done at Rockstar that it makes no sense. But you start to see these teams expand. And when you look at Ubisoft at one time had over 18,000 employees. Doing what? Doing what? Maintaining the bloat of the studio, more likely. Insanity. So when you get that many people involved and you get these ideologies involved, you make things that people aren't interested in. It's the same problem with committee films, filming by committee, films by committee, television by committee, all that stuff. Do you know why creative art is as creative as it is for the most part? Think about an author. He doesn't have 27 people writing his book or her book in this case. In fact, let me point out one of the most successful authors in the last 50 years, J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling went from living in housing assistance housing with not a lot of money, none money. She was writing on public transportation to and from where she was going, writing her book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That's what it was called in the UK. And that idea came out of one person. That idea went on to become an international phenomenon. From the books to the films to the video games to all kinds of stuff. To the East End in the form of a play, all kinds of stuff. That came out of one mind. That's why committee involvement in things doesn't work. The only times it really works is in comedy, when somebody can punch up somebody else's joke. If you're writing in a group for a sketch comedy show, maybe that's all right. Maybe you're writing for a sitcom. Okay. Hard for one person to come up with all that. But outside of those very specific instances, the more people involved in a process, the more diluted it will be by something. You know, well, I'm offended by that. Okay, well, now we have to eliminate a perfectly good joke for 99.9% of people because one person in your team is offended by that. This is the problem with all Disney movies now. Anything tied to Disney, any of the studios tied to Disney. You have these, story matters bologna sausage. You have the Lucasfilm Story Group, which is made up of, the matriarchal ideas and again, everything they've produced is pure garbage. You know, the only way to get it through that committee is to adhere to all the leftism that's out there in the world, which is why you end up with things like, Ahsoka, which is terrible. That's why you end up with The Acolyte, which is terrible. And it's why, and that kind of writing is why nobody's paying attention to Skeleton Crew, which people are trying to tell me has some redeemable value. In watching 1.5 episodes, I found none. But again, it's not aimed for me. It's aimed towards 9-year-olds and the people with, appreciation for that. Anyway, it is what it is. I got to get to some of these supers. Mark Nichols for 10, Culture Casino Cash says there were no Japanese harmed or consulted in this game. Oh, savage, Mark. Savage, buddy. Holy cow. Woo! Love it. Love it. Rail Drago for £5 sterling proper money, ladies and gentlemen, says the amount of damage control for Assassin's Creed Shadows is mind-numbing. It's amazing to me, my friend. Truly amazing. Man, I don't think I've seen any, every single captured, or identitarian gaming publication is nothing but apologies for this game, shilling for this game, puffery for this game. The stuff I've seen people that I thought were reputable come out about this game was like, oh my gosh. Asmongold did a live reaction to somebody's video that was just trying to puff the game out of pieces, like in a game story mode playthrough or something. Bleh. And I'm going to subject myself to that for you. Crazy. Oh, yeah. Last night, Comics pummeled himself with BioWare's Dragon Age the Veilguard game. So if you want to go back today, if you're looking for some entertainment, something to put on in the background, put on that stream. Am I buying a Switch too? Absolutely, I am. Yeah, absolutely. Elizabeth Young, how can one asks how can one company be such poo? Well, they are. Let's see. Yeah, actually, Blue Eyed Samurai did do it pretty well. To be fair, I think some of the very best anime and manga is like a shift or the amalgamation of multiple cultures. I think that's fine. Who else is out there? Lots of y'all supporting the channel, like Hillis Mallory says, this game is still coming out? Why? I don't know. If it experiences the same problems as Veilguard did, Ubisoft is going to be like $1 a stock. They're going to drop 120%. Awesome one says it's coming out because they're broke. That's actually a pretty good answer. And hey, Vic, I got out of PC gaming a decade ago when Bitcoin miners drove video card prices up through the roof. Yep. It's definitely going to burn to the ground. AAA studios are going to have to reinvent themselves. The CEO of NASDAQ, the stock indexes for most of the electronics technologies in the U.S., is saying that DEI isn't going away. It's just going to quiet down. Delusional. Wrong. I really do believe that you can change the name all you want. You're going to get reported for doing this kind of stuff. Sensitivity training. I'm going to tell you right now, sensitivity training, sensitivity reading, all of that stuff is a form of DEI, and it needs to go away. We need to have free speech. I mean, if you want to control the narrative of your game, do so. But you're going to get exposed. That's my job. My job since I'm retired now and I do this full time, my job is to warn you of this stuff. My job is to talk about this stuff. It's to talk about the things you want to talk about. This is one of those things. You guys want to talk about this stuff. That's why I do it. It's why I talk about how Trump's going to influence or affect different things, for good or bad. I talk about, what's going on in California, for good or bad. I have people in California who want me to. I have people in Canada who want me to talk about stuff up there. I have people in the UK want me to talk about it. I have people in Australia who want me to talk about things down there. That's what I do. And, there's a non-ending reading list that I just consume all I can every day. But gaming should be an escape. Television should be an escape. Film should be an escape. I'm not escaping from it if you insert modernity into all that garbage. The identitarianism is going to guarantee failure in the future. You cannot force change. Not this way. And if you do, especially here in the United States, the backlash is far worse than any quote unquote progress you'll make with your leftism. Whew. All right. Man, guys, I'm hot. Fired up. Monkey Jeebus. It's a stupid video game. Who cares? Well, do you play video games, Monkey Jeebus? I know you watch TV and film. I know you do. So if everything goes terrible, who cares? I don't know. Who cares about television? Who cares about films? Who cares about manga? Who cares about comics? Okay. What cultural things should we care about? I don't know. This is a good question because Monkey Jeebus is a friend. I got to ask you, what games were good this year? I'm assuming you play video games. What games were good this year? There weren't many. I mean, Black Myth Wukong was good, but had a lot of failures and faults. It wasn't perfect. It was limited in many ways. Wasn't fully open world. I mean, there's a lot of things in it I didn't enjoy. But a lot of people liked it, and it wasn't a cultural retreat. Wow, Vic and I bailed the same time with Star Wars. Yeah, after Mando Season 2, I was done. Yeah, we are definitely going to do Mario Kart. We're going to do some Fortnite. I'm going to make sure that I do some gameplay video for the channel of Assassin's Creed Shadows so you can see just how offensive it is, or inoffensive. I guess you can have your own opinion. That's not going to bother me. And we're definitely going to do some kind of Mario Kart thing. So tournament, I don't know. I have to talk to the team about that. We need a female on that team. Are there any female gamers out there that want to listen to a bunch of dudes call each other names playing games? I don't know. There's an AI that can tell the race of a person in an X-ray, or well, I guess that kind of makes sense. Some of the things that are going to reveal this era of craziness is a male pelvis with rotting silicone implants. Going to be pretty easy. So I imagine a pelvic structure, the size of the wrists and density of the bones, probably. That seems like you could probably do it. I don't know. Does Dina still play games? I have no idea. Hey, Pet Brett's in the house. DEI in any form needs to be called out. I agree with you. Anything that is identitarian needs to be called out. Oh, Astrobot was good. See, there's a good video game. There you go. No, I look, I love Monkey Jeebus. Don't misunderstand. I get passionate about the things I care about. That's what fandom is. Elizabeth says, me for 10 Culture Casino clams. Well, I didn't know that, Elizabeth. I tell you what, when we get close to the edge, I'll let you know. Because right now it's like a dude fest, you know. I mean, I'm happy, but, you know, I would love to have you, Elizabeth, and maybe Jillian and Argentum and a few others if you're into games. I think that'd be fun. And I think, to be fair, any of the Mario Nintendo-based games are equally available to anybody, no matter what their sex, male or female. Awesome one. Culture like soft flowing bear hair. Well, I do. That's not a lie. No lies told. Hillis Mallory, The Hills Have Eyes for 2. Culture Casino Clam says, played Once Human. Like that one. I did not. So there you go. Penny's like, not a gamer. Says, last console I played was the Atari 2600, which I have up in my closet. I also have one up north at the cabin, to be fair. So, yeah. Randy Thoto with the savagery. The Oscar statue is now a close representation of one of its nominees. No kidding. Why is it that the ladies aren't eating food anymore? Why is that? Especially the most like extreme of one side or the other. Like the ideological identitarians are out there with their. Why is that happening? Somebody tell me. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Yes, I can. Jillian says, and still, congratulations once again, Jillian, you're awesome. And congratulations on the marriage. I'm only good at Mario Kart at Dave & Buster's because it's more like a car. Well, they have throttle, brake, and steering wheel setups for everything, consoles and PC. So, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. Chad, oh, that's what it is. Food is racist. Man, they showed that picture of Cynthia Erivo, whatever her name is, the unlikable lady. They showed that picture of her next to Nosferatu, Eggers Nosferatu. You can't unsee that, especially with the dagger nails like that. Crazy stuff. I have to go see if I can find that. All right, we got more to get to, my friends. My pals, my buddies, my supporters. We got to talk one more time about somebody who was a male feminist and kind of a scumball. I mean, well, I guess he's always been a scumball, but his name is Neil Gaiman. And Dark Horse has now dropped him. He's gone. All of his pervy stuff that he's been doing all along. This is why you do not, you don't put up fronts or facades. That would be facade, but I still like the way Kevin Hart said it on set one time. It's a facade. Yeah, probably don't want to do that if you're Neil Gaiman or anybody else, especially in this era of, I guess, Me Too or Time's Up or any of the other baloney sausage things that happened where you trust all women who, well, lie their booty off and put men in jail forever. In fact, I think if you do that and you're found to be lying or if it was a complete fraud, I think that you should have to serve the term that the other person would have to serve. True story. I think that that's the only compensation that can come of false allegations. But anyway, he's had all kinds of even more recent allegations made. And Ansi Boys has canceled many of these other things. So that was that's following the bombshell New York magazine cover story in which several women accused the Sandman and Coraline author of unwanted intimacy. On more than one occasion, by the way. In a post on X Friday night, the publisher wrote, Dark Horse takes seriously the allegations against Neil Gaiman, and we are no longer publishing his works, confirming that Anansi Boys... why isn't that Anasazi? It doesn't matter. And collected volume have been canceled. Gaiman denied the allegations that were brought forth on the January 13th story. Says, I've never engaged in non-consensual activity with anyone ever. All right. Back in July, Tortoise Media broke the news that Gaiman had been accused of the forced intimacy, unwanted intimacy, by two women and released a 6-part podcast, Master, which covered the allegations of 5 women. Yeah, I don't think there's a shortage of ladies. You know what I mean? So they're done. Timu Allen Rickman, who's that? Wait a minute. Is that Neil Gaiman? Man, this is crazy stuff. We got to stop canceling people. Well, you know what? That's a good point. Awesome. Well, we got to stop canceling people before judgment is cast. Well, the problem is that timelines and things line up with the accusations in this case, amongst some other details. Very strange. Has he taken any of these people to court? Any charges brought on either side? Then it never happened. Really? Okay. I want receipts. Well, I think we're going to get them, Elizabeth. I really did. I really do. And I like accountability when it's needed. Neil came forward and said, well, I don't think it's in this story, but he did come forward and responded to this. The New York Magazine piece was titled "There Is No Safe Word." That was written by Lila Shapiro. She spoke to 8 women who had similar experiences with Gaiman. That's a lot of people. 4 of which also participated in Tortoise's podcast. The accusers that spoke to the New York Magazine included a babysitter for Gaiman and his ex-wife Amanda Palmer's child, a caretaker for Gaiman's property in Woodstock, New York, a fan who first met the author when she was 18, and a young woman who alleged he attempted to have forced intimacy on his tour bus. Many of the women alleged that Gaiman had a preference for rough stuff and that had not been consented to beforehand. Gaiman expressed regret for how he's handled some relationships, writing that I was emotionally unavailable while being sexually available, self-focused, and not as thoughtful as I could or should have been. I'm not willing to turn my back on the truth, and I can't accept being described as someone I am not, and I cannot and will not admit to doing things I didn't do. Boy, am I going to have to... I tell you what, there will be more things that come of this. But I understand where you're coming from, Elizabeth. I really do. We've got Rambam 3000 for £2 sterling saying Anansi is a Caribbean spider trickster god. Oh, really? Thank you, Rambam, for the cultural context. I did not know that. But I do know that that's £2 sterling, which means it's proper money. It's man, I'm gonna have to change that name, aren't I? What should it be? Pound sterling should be Starmer bucks. I don't know. That sounds too good. I'll think of something else. Inebriated Plutarch, even if he didn't commit any crimes, his other bad behaviors will become public record. So his wacky fet stuff will be on TMZ. That's true. Anyway, so there's that. Let's get down to your commentary. John Monkey says, sorry, Neil, but you told me to believe all women. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the other problem with that. Thank you, Monkey Jeebus. And Nancy is an African myth. Cool story. All right. Yeah, I figured out what the FET was. Yep. Yeah, thank you. Inebriated Plutarch's on it today. Lucifer Morningstar says whether he is just a pervert or a predator, this story is disturbing. And let me tell you something. I do not want to know about anybody's bedroom behaviors. Unless it's illegal, then you know, there are illegal things that people do. But otherwise, I'm a live and let live when it comes to that. You know, as long consent among two people, or I guess in the case of Diddy, more. The problem is when it rises to criminal. That's a different conversation. Woo! We don't have much time. We got 12 minutes left before we got to go check out Salty Nerd Podcast. Special guest over there is, well, let's just say he's a side scroller. So, but Bill Gates did a 3-hour dinner with Donald Trump. First of all, this surprises me because this man is evil personified. But hey, you know. He said that the 3-hour dinner was productive. Elon Musk's wading into overseas politics is insane. Says the globalist guy that's funding news organizations to spin identitarian politics around the world. Rocking the WEF compromise pin that lets everybody know that he's all for the new world order. Yeah, Bill, I don't believe you. Elon's trying to undo the evil and the things that you have done around the globe. And you know what? The UK is a good place to start because what you didn't call out was the fact that Starmer and his government were trying to influence the U.S. election of President Trump. So whatever you say, nobody will ever believe you. This man is influencing global health. And not in a good way, according to many, many stories. And I have a feeling that if he travels to the wrong country and is acquired by somebody, they'll take him to The Hague, if not prosecute him in their own country. But Bill Gates has been forthcoming with his take on the recent shift in U.S. politics. Last month that the tech titan called engaging in his visit with Trump. Speaking to the Times of London newspaper, a compromised news source indeed, Gates confirmed that he'd sat down in December with the then president-elect at his Florida home of Mar-a-Lago. On December 27th, I had a 3-hour dinner with Trump. It was quite an engaging conversation where he listened to me talk about HIV and the need to stay generous and innovate to get a cure. You guys don't want cures. You want infinite treatments. It's how you make money. You make a douche, or you make money for your friends, so they contribute more into your global dominance, directions that you go. Anyway, I talked a lot about polio and energy and nuclear, and he wasn't dismissive. No, because we want nuclear energy in this country, every single state. If you really want to have the most available energy at the least amount of emissions, you switch to nuclear. Sorry. Of his need to work with Trump on his own tireless campaign for funding things that now are going to be examined more closely. The sticky things. There is so much up in the air with him. Is he going to deport 9 million or 1 million? He's going to deport more than 9 million, dude. He's going to get rid of everybody who's here illegally. Is he going to have 60% tariffs or 5%? You're interesting. Is he going to fund infectious disease innovation or end it? Well, we need to take a look at what the effects have been and be honest about that. I think all of these questions, like, you could answer. Everybody in the audience could answer these questions, and they would all reflect incredibly poorly on this deeply demented man who somehow chased off his wife. He's reportedly a frequent visitor at the Island Boys' place of debauchery. Is this really a global leader of some sort? No. He's a monopolistic douchebag that has money and is trying to rule over life itself. He's an island boy. For real. Anyway, I thought I'd bring that one up before we got out of here. And look, I was going to dive into the Star Trek, the disaster for Paramount, the spinoff of the STD over at Paramount. But every single review says Michelle Yeoh can't carry this all on her own, didn't carry it all on her own, and Section 31 is a disaster. And I agree. BMO Bettis says, I say close down all biolabs. I see no benefit. Well, I mean, it was beneficial to, making something that was incredibly harmful to humans. That's actually, something that's widely reported by authoritative sources, whoever those are now, Alphabet. And nobody, here's the problem now. By doing what they did and censoring people, the only reason to censor people is because, well, you don't want people to consider that as an option, whatever they're saying, and be informed about all of the facts ahead of time. Had there not been suppression, there wouldn't have been mandates to do X, Y, or Z, because they couldn't have forced people to do something that there was questionable. It was questionable to shut down the governments. Not even questionable. It was criminal. It was questionable to force people to do things or to or actually circumvent that and have their employers force them to do things on behalf of the government. Again, that's never going to happen again. You can claim all these different things and nobody's going to believe you now because you were found out to be lying criminals. And the problem is any platform that suppressed that is also now suspect. It's the same thing with any social platform. You've now created a feeling of distrust, and that's awfully sad. Anyway, we need to get out of here. My friends, Matt Kadish, Alex, and others, including Brian, who is representation on Salty Nerd Podcast, are going to be getting together with Stuttering Craig from the Side Scrollers show. And I do want y'all to make it over there, say hi, wave, tell them where you came from, culture raid. And I just want to say I appreciated the morning with you all. And I appreciate you being here and all your support. You make this engine run. The Mumford 2 Culture Casino Clam says, hello, CC. Hello, the mum. We will be, let's see, Robert Picardo thinks I'm an actor because Armin told him I was a friend from Buffy. Okay. Didn't know that, but that's cool. I hope everybody has an incredible weekend. We will be seeing you tomorrow night, unless something goes wrong. So, on that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others. Check out Salty Nerd Podcast. Wash your hands because it's good hygiene when we only have a few more months to get through the cold and flu season. And it's definitely a good idea to not touch your face if you can be cognizant of it. And until next time, see ya. I got this one. Hillis Mallory for $2. Once Human. I didn't see it. Yeah, I got through all of them. Sorry about that, Hillis. Oh, and by the way, after Salty Nerd Podcast comes Mephisto's movie reviews. Don't miss that. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.
Culture Casino.